I didn't realize it was happening at first. That's the thing about him. Nothing he did ever felt loud enough to name. There were no slammed doors, no screaming fights, no obvious cruelty, just a steady erosion, like water wearing down stone until one day you look at yourself and don't recognize what's left. When we met, he didn't rush me. That should have been the warning. He watched. He listened. He learned. He asked questions that felt thoughtful but landed a little too deep, a little too precise. Questions about my past, my insecurities, the things I wished I was better at, the people who had hurt me before. I answered honestly. I thought honesty was intimacy. He didn't tell me he loved me right away. He made me earn the feeling of being wanted. Some days he was warm, attentive, almost magnetic. Other days he felt distant, unreachable, like he was slipping through my fingers no matter how tightly I held on. I learned quickly that my behavior determined which version of him I got. If I agreed with him, he stayed. If I questioned him, he withdrew. If I upset him, he vanished. And silence became punishment. I started chasing the version of him that smiled at me like I mattered. I replayed conversations in my head, searching for the moment I'd said the wrong thing. I apologized even when I wasn't sure what I was apologizing for. He accepted every apology like it was owed. "You're overthinking," he'd say, when I tried to explain how his distance made me feel. "You're imagining things. You're making problems where there aren't any." Eventually, I stopped bringing things up. It was easier to doubt myself than to risk losing him. He didn't isolate me directly. He just made me feel guilty for choosing anyone else. If I spent time with friends, he'd ask why I didn't miss him. If I had fun without him, he'd act wounded, like joy was betrayal. "I guess I just care more than you do," he said once, quietly. That sentence stayed with me longer than any argument ever could. I started shrinking my life around him, canceling plans, ignoring messages, convincing myself that being chosen by him was worth the cost. I told myself love required sacrifice. I didn't realize I was the only one bleeding. He knew exactly how much affection to give, just enough to keep me hoping, just enough to make me believe the coldness was temporary, that if I tried harder, loved better, stayed quieter, he'd finally stay soft. But the softness never lasted. Every compliment came with a condition. Every apology came with a reminder. Every moment of closeness came with fear attached. I became hyper-aware of his moods. I could tell by the way he typed, the way he breathed, the way he said my name, whether I was safe or not. I lived in anticipation, constantly bracing for the shift. And when he hurt me, he never took responsibility. He'd say things like, "I didn't mean it like that. You're twisting my words. You're too emotional to see this clearly." Eventually, I started believing him. I stopped trusting my own memory, my own feelings, my own instincts. I learned how to doubt myself faster than he ever could. I learned how to explain away his behavior before anyone else could question it. He didn't break me all at once. He wore me down. By the time I realized I wasn't happy anymore, I didn't know how to leave. I had built my sense of worth around his approval. Without him, I felt empty, directionless, like I had lost the version of myself that existed before him. And he knew that too. That's why he never had to beg me to stay. I stayed because I didn't know who I was without him.